What's up guys, this is Wenzes. Welcome back to my channel where we talk about personal development for INFJs and how to create an epic life on your terms. Today we're talking about a very interesting INFJ weakness, which is dissociation from reality. This was a topic suggested by one of you, so thank you very much. And today I really want to look into why this is the main way we escape reality. We dissociate from it. Maybe other people escape through drinking or gambling or doing anything in that regard where you just want to hide from what's really going on in reality. So today we're really going to look into how INFJs do that process, why we do it, and how we can get out of it so we can take charge and create our INFJ epic life. Before we get started, I want to remind you, if you want to take the next step in creating your INFJ epic life and you want my help with it, then work with me privately. All my packages are full for the year, but now for a month only, I'm offering single sessions, so check everything out. The link is in the description. At first, I didn't know what dissociation really meant, but once I looked into it, once I asked a couple of questions, I understood, okay, it's about not being present in reality. It's about escaping what is really going on and then living in our dream world. And of course, this is something we do all the time. I never talk about things that I haven't experienced myself, because only through that I can actually share what has worked for me. And I can see a huge difference from being somebody who completely disassociated with reality. I used to have times where I remember I was living with my roommate at some point and she came home and I was in such a stressful mode that the only thing I could do is just put my headphones on and listen to music. The fact that she just entered home and I would have to communicate with her stressed me out. That's how much I didn't want to accept reality. I didn't want to look at it, and I didn't want to do that because reality was hurtful. There are a lot of things we have to admit to ourselves if we say, okay, I want to actually look at reality. As I mentioned before, it's not like we're the only ones who escape, but there are different ways of doing it. People start drinking, people start binge eating, they start watching television, they start doing things that are not healthy for them, that are not necessarily what we do. I mean, of course, yes, we too do things like mindlessly looking through social media or watching Netflix series or eating or drinking. Like, this is not something that doesn't happen to INFJs, but what is typical is that we are not going outside into the world and doing something that will add to our life that is not healthy. Like, for example, going to a lot of parties in order to numb ourselves, or doing anything that actually helps us to escape the current steps that we have to take in order to improve our life. What we do is we actually retreat. And retreats are a good thing, right? I mean, we've heard about detox retreats and relaxation retreats, so that in itself isn't a bad thing. But most of the time, we're actually leaning into a reality break. We're not willing to look at what's going on, and therefore we start living in our mind. We start listening to music all the time. We start living out fantasies that we're in a relationship with somebody when there's nothing really going on in reality. We start imagining how great it could be. We start daydreaming. We start thinking about a life that could be different than ours. That's why so many INFJs are prone to having any kind of long distance relationships or relationships that are outside of our reality, because they all give us an opportunity to escape. For the longest time, I wasn't interested in absolutely anybody if that person didn't give me a way out. Every time I imagined I would be in their world, it was a relief for me, because then I wouldn't have to face the fact that my life isn't going anywhere I want. My life isn't progressing in a way where I feel like I'm living an epic life. If I was being honest with myself, my life was just passing by. It looked okay on paper. I paid my bills. I made sure that everything is taken care of, but I knew that I wasn't reaching my potential and I wasn't leaning into it. It was something that was happening outside of me. And my reality at that time was really something I didn't want to look at. And I did absolutely everything in my power not to do that. See, when we're in this situation, it's not like we're aware of it and therefore say, okay, I'm just not going to look into reality. I'm just going to live in my dream world. That's not what this is about. You're actually oblivious about it. So if you were willing to look at this video, you're probably already at a point where you know, okay, I got to get aware of that. Because when we're in this state where we don't want to admit this to ourselves, we're not open for things like this. We might read a title like this and it just doesn't trigger us. It doesn't really resonate with what we're going through. But the more you actually get into this step of personal development, the more you take charge in creating your INFJ epic life, the more you become aware of how crucial this step is, and awareness is key. Until this day, I really don't believe that there's a way that you can overcome this completely. I've talked about this when it comes to other topics as well. It's a leaning into process, right? I hope in 5 years, when I look at myself today, I will recognize in how many ways I wasn't taking charge of my reality, how much I was still disassociating. Of course, million times less than, let's say, 5 years ago, but it's still there. Everything else would just be naive of me to think. And because I have that awareness, I am open to changing certain things in order to grow. I mean, if you imagine a person who's actually able to move their life forward, for them, this doesn't seem that difficult. It's part of who they are. It's part of their identity. They have incorporated reality into their personality. So every single day they start doing something that helps them move forward. A person who's completely disassociated from reality doesn't have that feeling. The typical feeling an INFJ has who's dissociating from reality big time is that he or she feels life is happening outside of me. And I would love for somebody to come and save me, for something to happen that would give my life meaning. And when you're in a situation like this, things don't change overnight because you have taught your mind over years, decades maybe, that that's the way to go. It isn't easy to build a new pathway, how I always say it. Imagine again the cornfield. You've always been going that direction within the cornfield. A little pathway has been paved for you, and now you want to start something new. You want to start taking charge of reality. There is no pathway yet. Every single step you'll make will feel hard. Every single step that you take will feel senseless because it is so small. Because you feel like, okay, so if I do this, my reality still won't change. It still will be painful. It still will be hard. But once you've gotten to this point, you know that with every single step that you do, you're making your life better than it was yesterday. So why do so many INFJs disassociate and don't take those steps if every single day would be better? It happens because they're still living in the illusion that the dissociation is actually real life, that they have a choice of not accepting reality. And I used to be like this big time. Like there was no reason for me to accept reality. What for? There was nothing I liked there. All the things that made me happy happen in my mind. My long distance relationships, every single time I got to talk with somebody and dream out, oh, we could be so happy. That moment was what made me happy. The thought of, okay, I'm actually being strong because I'm supporting others while neglecting myself. Telling myself and giving myself personal value through the fact that I'm not living out my truth. There's a validation in this, and this validation makes us feel better. See, our mind doesn't do anything if there isn't a benefit to it. This benefit might be short term, but there is a benefit to it. We're doing this in order to avoid pain, because that pain will happen if you actually accept reality. So first off, why do you have to accept reality? Why can't you just say, well, I'm an INFJ, I live in my mind and everything is great? Well, you could if this is actually making you happy. But every single INFJs that I talk to, when it comes to this particular thing of disassociating, they don't feel great about themselves. They might say that out loud. They might try to convince themselves that things are moving forward, but in reality, they're not, and they're aware of it. If you're not aware of this, if this is not something that even crosses your mind and you're totally happy and everything is great, you're probably not disassociating in the first place. One of the ways to know that you are disassociating is when you have that feeling that life is happening outside of you, that you are an observer, and that life is passing by, other people are experiencing it. You're just the one who's different. You're the one who doesn't feel all that great and doesn't experience the fulfillment of life. And the way our community is set up doesn't make it easier. How often have we read even about celebrities who are INFJs who have quotes like, like I've always been an observer. We take that as something to look up to, as something that is a good thing. That, of course, does not say in any kind of way that you should put yourself in groups that you don't believe in, that don't make you happy just to be part of that social group. Not at all. I'm not here to tell you if you have like 5 people around you and they're all interested in one project and you should actually emulate what they're doing and be part of that, because that in itself is still saying, I'm not looking at my reality. I'm still thinking that I have to do something in order to feel good about myself that doesn't have anything to do with what my intrinsic wishes are. Much more it's about, oh, I'm ought to do this. This is what I'm supposed to do. And this is not what accepting reality is about. And this is, I think, one of the main reasons why INFJs are so hesitant to take that step. Because it looks like there are 2 ways to go about this. The one, you actually stay in your mind, you live in your dream world. It's not optimal, but at least you're not giving up your integrity. That's the only thing you have left, your integrity, right? The other way would be to give up that integrity, to be part of certain groups, to be part of the game, and a game that you don't even believe in. So of course, when you think there are only those 2 choices, you will go for the dissociation part. It's logical, but the truth is there is a middle ground. There is a way how your reality can start being manifested. And accepting reality is not about saying, oh, okay, I need to actually be part of those groups. Accepting reality is to look at those things that are honestly going on right now, that are observable, that cannot be taken away from you, and to accept them. For me, it was a big wake-up call because I had built this image of, okay, I could be in that world, I could actually have a relationship with somebody. I was so focused on creating something in my mind, and it really took me to the edge. This is the moment when I said, okay, I had a reality break, because all my attention went to that place. All my attention was focused on how that person was feeling, how their reality was playing out, and me wanting to be part of it. Not understanding that if I want to be part of that reality, that there is something that I want. And if I want that, I have to admit it to myself, and I have to create it in the real world, because this thing in my mind, this won't work out. Because if it would work out, it wouldn't be in my mind. It would be working right now. The way we get to build up this image, the way we get to build up this dream, is when we don't get to have this thing for such a long time that we get to absorb more and more information about it. We start building up this fantasy, and the list goes on and on. So once I understood that, okay, apparently I made a mistake, because this mistake very often comes from our third function, introverted thinking. We definitely overestimate it. We want it, we love it, we don't want to let go of it, we want to understand it so deeply, but we do make mistakes in our thinking, as for example, assuming that that person wants to have us in their life, when in reality nothing has happened. This is this discrepancy between extroverted thinking and introverted thinking. It's also the thing of, okay, I want my life to be exciting, I want to have this exciting job or this profession or this own business, when in reality I'm not doing anything to make that happen. I just have this image, and I have no idea what it actually means in reality to do this. A great example for this is if you look at TV series, for example, let's say Suits. If you watch Suits, you think being a lawyer is so exciting, there's all this action, so if I would be a lawyer, this would be so great. This was something I thought, probably not with Suits, because I had already studied and everything by the time I was watching this, but when I was younger, I always thought, okay, I want to be somebody who's in the corporate world, who wears like a fancy outfit and goes to all of these exciting places, and then reality hit me, and I was there. I was somebody who had a frequent traveler status. I was somebody with a Hilton Diamond status. I was wearing those fancy outfits. But work life, those 8 to 10 hours each day, were so boring. They were happening in a dark room. They were happening without having any exciting stories or anything that makes you feel alive in the way you would see it in Suits. So imagine the way you dissociate from reality is imagining that being a lawyer or being in the corporate world is something like Suits, and reality, on the other hand, is totally bitter. And instead of telling ourselves, why should I keep on dreaming about being a lawyer when reality doesn't reflect that, we continuously stay in this cycle, because the pain of admitting to ourselves that your life won't be saved by being a lawyer, because being a lawyer is the reality of being a lawyer, not the dream of being a lawyer. And that goes for every single step step. So once you get to this point and you actually accept it, you are forced to look at all the pain you experience right now. The pain of, I'm not where I want to be. My life hasn't improved in the last years and I'm responsible for it. But guess what? Once you accept this, once you're willing to look at where your life is right now and you accept this pain, what happens is that you stop being in this fantasy because reality is so painful. You get here and you deal with the pain. You go through it and then you're okay with this thing. Before you weren't. Before you were here in your fantasy because being here was so painful. But once you go through it, you grieve it, you're okay with this. Then you recognize, yes, I'm less further ahead in my life than I thought I was in my fantasy. But now, because I know I'm here, I can take those little steps that are here. And then I actually feel better because this jump is already noticeable. And then you start building it up from here. And it goes slowly and steadily. In the beginning, those steps seem small, but you already feel how they're making your life better. But you'll never feel like this if you stay in your mind and you pretend that this is the real world. Because of course, no matter how much you would improve over here, it's still lower than here. But this is an illusion. And it's about time we recognize that truth. Because every single time we keep on staying in this fantasy, every single time we disassociate from reality, we keep on building something that will never make us feel fulfilled. But here you have a chance. And it has absolutely nothing to do with pretending that you're somebody else or doing things for other people. It's just about facing reality and then taking action steps to making it your INFJ epic life. I really hope that inspired you, didn't discourage you, but gave you the strength and motivation to do it because you are strong enough. It may be hard, but guess what? You can do hard things. Remember, if you want to work with me privately, currently I'm offering single sessions. Check everything out. The link is in the description. And if you want to watch another video now that is in line with today's topic, then watch the video on the 3 INFJ weaknesses that most INFJs are oblivious to. Like always, guys, I wish you a wonderful day, a great week, and I talk to you next time. Bye.